What's up, gearheads? Lane here, Average Joe's Antics, where we're wrenching on real builds one bolt at a time. That being said, in this one, you're going to see me get our upper and our lower radiator hoses on. We're going to get a belt completely tightened up. We're waiting on the other belt to get here. Once that gets here, we'll get it on and tightened up. Might be another 5 trips back to the parts store. And we're going to work on wiring. That being said, come with me. We'll get into it. It's going to be a good one. Alrighty, we're going to start with our radiator hoses. We're going to start with our bottom. We're going to get it on, get everything all tightened up. Then we're going to move to the top. And then we're going to get that belt tight. I'll get you in here after we get the upper and lower hoses on to show you which belt I'm talking about. There's the upper, tighten down into place. And then down there's the lower. No kinks. I was having an issue. I actually had to flip it. I was having an issue where it was kinking. I actually had to put the bend up here on the water pump. That way it would curl over. But that being said, we're going to work on this belt next. Loose and floppy. Right here. We're going to get it pulled over, held over, and then we're going to get a 19 millimeter on this bolt right here to tighten it down. And we're also going to get that alternator in there today. Alrighty. Now, I know I did not say we were going to do the alternator at the beginning of the video, but it sort of goes along with wiring because that runs the charging system. And if that's not there, I can't run the alternator wire up to it. So we're going to go ahead and get this belt tight, and then we're going to get the alternator in. And I know I mentioned something in the last video about when we go to put the alternator on, we're going to have to drill and retap the hole. We're actually not, because I cannot drill and retap the hole and heliocoil it because it's already been drilled and retapped. It got drilled and retapped with a 7/16 bolt. I have the bolt right here. We're going to try and get it to work. And if it don't work, we're going to have to pull up the 7/16 drill bit. And we're going to have to modify the alternator. It is what it is. So, here we go. There we go. Belt's tight. Yes, sirree, Bob, it's tight. Now we got to go get the alternator out of the trunk. All right. Alternator. Got it. Right here. Hey. Right here. Right here. It's a freshie. Super freshie. Check bolt fitment. Guess what? It don't work. Time to modify. So come with me. We're gonna get it in the bench vise, and then we're gonna take a drill bit, and we're gonna very, very easily go through this hole. So that way we can get her bolted on the car. All right. Get her bolted down. Bolted down. I mean, squeezed down. In there. Now we're going to go get a drill bit and a drill. There we got her. I'm not a professional. She looks straight to me, so we can get it over back to the car. Get all these hot aluminum shavings off me. And get it on. Alrighty, now we test fit our bolt here. How about that? Like a glove. All right. Alternator is completely in now. That's a really good feeling. I'm gonna get you over here and I'm gonna show you the accessory drive unit is one. Now I'm worried. Why, you ask? I'll show you here in a second. This is gonna be tight. I might test fit something to see if it's gonna work or not. I hate this crap. Some things work, some things don't. I'm really worried. All right. Accessory drive kit looks fantastic. Alternator, waiting on that belt to go around the alternator, the crankshaft down there, and the water pump. Once that gets here, it'll be perfect. But one dilemma that I'm seeing: gap. I'm afraid if I put an electric fan on there, I mean, I can run it on the outside, but putting an electric fan in here, I think I'm going to be too tight, and I'm not going to be able to clear this water pump pulley. So, that being said, we're going to have to, I have two electric fans over on another radiator. I'm going to have to cut them off. I'm going to have to bring one over here and test fit it, so to say. Ugh. I'm scared. Honestly, I'm a little afraid. Like, this is going to be make or break. It's not the end of the world. Obviously, there's another way to do it, and that's put it on the front. But that leads to the next question of, where am I going to put the transmission cooler? I was kind of hoping to put it there. I might actually have to mount it somehow underneath the car with a fan on it of its own. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. As for now, I'm gonna go get that other electric fan out from over there, and we're gonna get cracking to find out how much room's there. All right, we have one electric fan. I don't think one's gonna cut it though to cool this thing. And holy smokes, we have just enough room. So I'm gonna go cut the other one off and see if we can get the other one to fit in here. If we can, I'm gonna have a dual fan setup on this, which is gonna be nice. Use what you got. How we do it around here. And I did not plan for these to go on this because they're red. It just sort of happened that way. They were on another project as a long time ago. So we'll get those other ones real quick. Oh, can we? They can fit. Both of them can fit. Let me see. Yep, they both can fit. That just means it's gonna stay cooler, like 100%. I can't make them even; they won't fit that way. But actually, hold on. Yeah, no, they won't fit that way. But I can stagger them, which it should do the same thing. It should keep it cool no matter what, even if they're staggered. So I gotta get zip strips now. Now that that's takes a lot off my mind. I mean, that's taken care of. I can set these in the trunk and worry about wiring these up later. All right, we're back. It's another day. I ran out of time yesterday, but we're gonna start with wiring today, and we got to go with this wiring loom because this is where it starts to run into the MSD box down here. I got to feed all these through a hole so we can start running all the wiring into the engine bay, hooking it up where we need to go. That way we can use the ignition switch here to start the car. Being said, I'm going to go ahead and get this shoved through the firewall, and then we're going to go out in the engine bay and we're going to start getting everything hooked up in the engine bay. Huh. Where is this? All right, hold up. Well, before we can get this wiring loom out, I'm going to have to take out part of the HVAC system. So give me 1 second. Doesn't surprise me having to take stuff out like this because, I mean, just in the way anyway. Weighs the car down anyway. I don't need no heat. I don't need AC. We're drag racing this thing after all, right? We stuck on. Come on. There we go. How about that? This. Oh boy. to get a different angle here. Okay. All right, there's the hole. You know what? I'm gonna do something to help myself not fight all these wires. I'm gonna run a zip tie around this thing. Help hold all the wires closely together. That way, once we get one through the hole, we'll be able to pull the rest through the hole. All right, back to the land down under. Okay. I think we got it. All right, now let's go out to the engine bay. We're aiming for this hole right here. I just shoved it back in there to the floor. When you're working with sausage fingers, everything doesn't tend to go as well as you need it to. Just gonna throw that out there. We're trying to get it through the same hole that our temp sensor is running through. So, looks like we're gonna go back to square one and see if I can't get it out the hole. Out the hole. I think we're there now. Hang on. Before I go shoving my giant fingers in there, how about that? Where's the rest of it? Here's one. Oop. All right. We got it started. Oh, it's close. It's close to getting it all out. All right, cool. There it is. The whole wiring. Now I got to plug it into the box. That way we can get a judgment for how far it's going to go out before it stops. All right. All right. Now we got our wires through. Nip our zip tie here without cutting a wire. Bam. All right. So it's going to reach everything but the battery when the battery's in, because the battery's going to sit up here. I'll have to cut these two off and redo them, but that's nothing major. That's to be expected. Get them all entangled, and I'll start plugging everything in where they're supposed to go. So these two actually go to the coil. Orange goes to the positive side. Black goes to the negative side. Black on negative. Orange on positive. There we go. Now, when our spark plug wires get here, those will already be on. All we got to do is drop the distributor in, put the spark plug wires on and plugs in, and we're ready to fire this beast. Those are on. This red wire here goes to our switched wire, which is right here. So I'll have to cut this one, splice it, and then put a piece in there, a flat blade in there, so it'll snap in. So we'll go ahead and get her cut. All right, there's that. Grab my connectors. All right, perfect. That one's too small. Bend it anyway. Oh yeah, see if it's tied up. Okay. I'm gonna nip her down a little bit. I always prefer to cut a little more than needed. Like that. So a red dot. Let it work. Hold on. Here we go. Take this one. There's that. And then once we get everything hooked up where it needs to, I'm going to slide everything back through the firewall and zip tie it up out of place so it doesn't catch my feet. That's for the switch. So this one that I just hooked up is for when the key turns on. That's what sends power to the distributor and the ignition coil and the MSD box. So that way we can crank it over and start it. These two go to the battery, and this one, it's for a points adaptation system, which is way out of date, and we don't plan on running it. We have an actual MSD distributor. So those are all hooked up. That's hooked up. We got to get this. This right here. This is going to be fun. Either got to extend on and add to it, but this part of the wiring, it plugs into the alternator here. And then we have a jumper wire that comes down and around, and one goes down to the alternator, one goes to the battery, vice versa. This is where it's going to get fun. It takes a lot of thinking when it comes to this part because you cross wires, then we have a situation called letting the smoke out. Not a fun day. All right, what I like to do, now that we have that, is this came from MSD. They did not heat shrink this onto the wire. So we're going to take this, unlock it, melt it onto the wire here. Maybe that wasn't one you're supposed to melt on the wire. Live and you learn. Nah, we're good. We're good. It heat shrunk on there. We're good. Just a little too much heat to it. That's all it was. Now we're going to take this. You're not even going to see it anyway. Doesn't matter. You ain't going to see it anyway. Because I'm going to take this right here. It's just going to be black. Ain't going to matter. Slip this in just like that. You see? Ain't even going to see it anyway. God. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. It's right here. Again. This over. Yeah, see? Just like that. Just like that. I'm not a professional. Take these two and snap them back together just like that. Ta-da! Now, I'm going to figure out a way how to wire this alternator up. About a couple minutes to figure this out, and we'll come right back to you. All right. These are the wires for the alternator. I got them separated. We're going to go ahead and put some heat shrink over them. Cooperate with me. One side. Alrighty, now let those cool. These plug right in here to this on the back side of the alternator. I'll have to get a cover, that way it at least looks half correct. Now it looks like a spaghetti mess now. But when we're done, it will not look as bad as it does. It looks pretty rough right now. This won't be in here much longer. I did find out that this fender has no shims in it. So I can literally take all the bolts out, pull the fender off, get the rest of this heater box out, and put the fender back on, and it make sure my body lines and everything still line up, but it should be okay because there's no shim. Shouldn't have to really worry about it being out of alignment. I mean, I can always adjust it before I tighten the bolts completely up, but still, that's besides the point. Once that gets out of here, then I can get a flat plate to cover up, and it'll just make the whole engine bay look a lot cleaner. But that's down the road. We got to get it running first. So, being said, I'm gonna go ahead and plug these into here. Yeah. Like that. And then we're gonna run this in here just like that, but we're gonna pull it back and run it along the top here. And that's definitely gonna get taped off because I don't need it arcing off everything as we're trying to start it or anything. So, or that might just get cut out. I don't know yet. I got to figure out what that's for anyway, because looks like I'll be talking to my grandpa saying, "Hey, old man, what'd you do here?" I mean, old man tricks. You never know what they're going to come up with. I mean, it might just be all he had and he didn't have a butt splice connector. We might be able to put a butt splice connector in there. We'll see. Until that's done, I think we're at a wiring standstill until I get the battery to be able to put my positive and negative cables on. That being said, that's going to do it for this one, Gearheads. We'll see you on the next one. Remember, stay average, and that's all she wrote.